Hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. We're starting at the very beginning of the park. Well, not the very beginning. Could be at the gate. But we're here at Main Street, USA. We're going to spend the next 45 minutes, maybe an hour, walking around the park and exploring it and, I don't know, talking about Disney. Looks like there are already some comments here, which is awesome. They popped in at the beginning. Steve Pym says, I saw Disney filed permits for a new pathway connecting the Grand Floridian with Magic Kingdom. I know, I'm super excited for that. You're going to be able to walk from the park all the way to the TTC, the long way around, but it should be for a pretty fun time. I'm excited for that. How's everybody doing this week? The weather really took a turn for the better. It was storming earlier. Luckily, I got here right as the storm was clearing up. There was some like nasty lightning over there, and you can still see it's pretty overcast, but it's starting to clear up, which should be good because I'm probably gonna stick around for the fireworks tonight. So let's go explore the Magic Kingdom a bit. I wanted to start at Main Street because the last time I was here at the park, I started, I think, at Tomorrowland and then like walked all the way around, and this is actually one of my favorite parts of the park. So let's go check it out. Low-key raining. No raining here. It's nice here. Ooh, I've never explored this side of the train station. Hi, Michelle and Zena. Hey, MH Bauer. I'm doing pretty good. This is like my half day off. Hey, Jonathan. Wow, Minecraft has amazing textures nowadays, right? Isn't it fantastic? So this is a nice, good place to hide out if things get a little too crowded, especially after the fireworks. My new thing is when there are fireworks, I don't leave the park. Let's flip this around. I don't leave the park as soon as the fireworks are over. I hang out for, I don't know, an hour or so, let the crowds leave. And the place I go to hang out is behind me over at the train station because nobody really goes up there, and you get to people watch and you get a nice view of Main Street at night. So it's really nice. How often would you ride teacups in a day with you receiving $1 for every time you ride? Well, here's the problem. How often can you ride it in a day? It's like what? Let's say it's a 75-second ride, right? It's like about a minute, and then you got a minute of loading and unloading, so that's 3 minutes, right? So in that case, I don't know. Depends on how many times you can ride it. This is like a video idea. Will I broadcast from the Animal Kingdom? Eventually. It's starting to rain? No, it's not starting to rain. We're good. I will eventually do that. I've done Epcot, I've done Hollywood Studios. I'll do here as well. Luckily, thanks to the rain, the park has emptied out a little bit, but it's still the summer season, so it's still kind of crazy. Let's... Or a place to sit down. I don't want to rush through Main Street. Go check out down here. I mentioned in the past not being a big horror fan. This is true. That being said, with you living in Florida now, any chance to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year, maybe with Christine. So I don't think Christine's going to be down for Halloween Horror Nights, but I am planning to do it with Kat. So yes, I do have plans to do it. It just sounds really cool. I am not a big horror fan, but I do appreciate immersion, even if it's scary immersion. So here's another good place to like tuck away. EA says everyone seems to be making a fuss about Galaxy's Edge being empty. Nonsense? I mean, I guess it makes sense to be a little skeptical about why it's so empty, but unless you're a Disney executive, you shouldn't be concerned that it's empty. Again, some like pre-rain wind here. I think part of the reason why it's empty is, one, it's the summer, so locals are blacked out. Two, a lot of people avoided having trips during this period because they were afraid it was going to be crowded. And three, the land had a whole month of like a quote-unquote soft opening where people could go, and like the hardcore fans and locals could make a trip and go. And so I think between all three of them, they're being very careful about controlling crowds, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. So I'm not too worried about it. In fact, I would like for the Galaxy's Edge here to be not super packed. That would be really nice. I don't own any Disney stock, so you know, the emptier the park, the better as a guest. When did I move to Florida? Earlier this year. Came here around May. Just before the summer really kicked in. So it ended up being like the hardest part to get through. I figure if I could get through the weather of this summer, then Florida living is no problem. Let's get a nice view of the castle here. Hey, Daffy. There she is. There's a bit of a rain cloud over there. Hopefully it doesn't rain on us. Alex asks if I miss New York. I do not. I do not miss New York. I miss like pizza from New York sometimes and bagels, that's for sure, but a lot of my friends had already left New York, and this has been a nice change in pace. So I am actually pretty happy here right now. We're gonna head through Adventureland, and we're going to, I don't know, walk around the park and explore for a bit. I just wanted to start over in Main Street. My favorite view is just looking down Main Street, but it's even better at night once all the lights are on. So let's keep moving. Best non-Disney thing I've done in Florida so far. That's a fantastic question, because I think a lot of Disney fans who want to move here to just be closer to the parks, you know, there's good reasoning behind it, but there is that question of like, what else are you going to do? And obviously the go-to thing is like Universal, because there are more theme parks. But even outside of theme parks, you know, I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do here. My favorite so far has been, Kat and I went out to, what was the name of it? The Getty Park, Getty Beach, Jetty Park, one of those, something like that. It was one of the beaches by Cape Canaveral to watch SpaceX launch, and it was amazing. And I'm gonna go do more launches, you know, whenever they're scheduled. How do I feel about the pizza at Via Napoli? Haven't had it yet. I'm slowly making my way through all the pizza places. Via Napoli is one I have not gone to yet. Although everybody says the one to go to is, I don't know what it's called, but it's the one by Maria and Enzo's in Disney Springs. They say that's the most like New York-like pizza, so we'll see. I'm starting with the worst pizza places. So I've started with like Pizza Rizzo, for instance, just to get the low-hanging fruit out of the way. Let's see, let's go back up. I think I missed a lot of comments here. How do I like living in Florida? Love it. It's really nice so far. It's still novel. I mean, you live anywhere, you're gonna find the pros and the cons, and Florida is not without its own cons, but right now it's new enough and novel enough that I'm enjoying it a lot. Have I gone to the water parks yet? Yes, I've gone to Typhoon Lagoon it was like a Disney Parks blog event. So it was free, which made it really nice. I haven't gone since then. I don't know about like, I have no desire to go really. Part of it is because where I live, we have a pool. So if I want to, you know, cool off in a pool, I could do that without, you know, driving over to a park. If I had to choose any ride theme song, now play on loop, no matter where you go for 24 hours, which song would you choose? It would be the Space Mountain Q music. Totally. Have I ever tried the kitchen sink ice cream sundae, and how many scoops do you think it would take to fill a real sink? Oh man, to fill a real sink, I would guess a real kitchen sink, 75. I'm gonna go with 75. Have not tried any version of it. Aaron asks, Blaze Pizza. Blaze Pizza is pretty good. It's not New York pizza by a long stretch, but it's still good pizza. And that's why when I do a video about this, my journey to find the best pizza on Disney property, I need to rate it 2 ways. One, you know, how close is it to New York pizza? But 2, is it just good or bad pizza? Because, you know, there could be pizza that's great that's just not New York pizza.
I got it.
Love the live streams on the channel. Any chance we'll get more traditional vlogs as well? Yes. It might be less frequent. I think vlogging, I'd probably stay for special events, things like the opening of Galaxy's Edge or the last night of Illuminations, that kind of stuff, or when people visit, like when Christine comes down, whenever she's gonna come down. I think she's talked about waiting now until after January so she could do Rise of the Resistance. But like that's when I'll do some sort of vlog stuff. Otherwise, normal day-to-day things, not so much, just because I'm, you know, I don't know. I don't want to burn out on vlogging. What tours at Disney have I done? I've done the Keys to the Kingdom, really good, worth it, 100% worth it. And I've done the Undiscovered Future World at Epcot. That was also really good. And I would like to do I forgot what it's called. I think it's the Magic Tour or Behind the Magic. It's 7 hours and you go to all 4 parks. And mainly because I want to go beyond behind the American Adventure where all the animatronics are. What part of the Space Mountain queue, start or middle? The start, when you first go in and it's all like floaty. How come I never go to the water parks? Like I mentioned, I've got a pool, or I have pool access, so, you know, if I ever want to like cool off in the pool, I can just go do that. Also, it's an additional cost. I don't have the annual pass for the water parks. Backstage Magic Tour, thank you, that is. It's more on the pricier side. I think it's like $275 or something, but it's a full day, and you get to see some pretty cool stuff. So, one day. Not the sort of thing I'm going to do on a whim. Anyway, let's flip this camera around and continue our journey into Adventureland. Now, one cool thing about the Keys to the Kingdom tour is they talk a lot about sightlines and how important sightlines are to Disney, and how, you know, you want to make sure what you're seeing at any given point is makes sense for the land you're in. And so the example they used for sightlines, which I thought was very clever, was they were talking about Cinderella Castle. It's this big, prominent castle. It's something you could see from so many different angles, but they'll still do their best to hide it when it makes sense for you to not be able to see a castle. And so the example they use is actually right around here as we go into Adventureland, where you're going into the jungle and the wild, and you really shouldn't see this, you know, fantasy castle. And sure enough, there is no more castle. The trees are blocking it. It's just a great little spot where they do that. Do I think the sightlines are thought out through in Epcot? No, I do not think they are thought through as much. I think part of it is you're not being immersed in another world. And I think another part of it is, well, you make mistakes sometimes. Michael Eisner made a mistake with the Swan and Dolphin. And that's why you can see it so prominently from France. Drop me off at Club 33. Club 33. Here's the current line for the Red's Revenge, the strawberry Dole Whip snack here at the Sunshine Tree Terrace, which is interesting. You think they would be at the Aloha Isle where the other Dole Whips are. Tower Terror in Morocco, that's a great example of it being done well. But I think Future World in particular doesn't have a standard, right? So that's why I think they didn't care so much with Guardians of the Galaxy. How am I handling the heat of Florida? One day at a time. Being a local now, how do you find the way you enjoyed the parks has changed? Not necessarily for the worse, but as your perspective / routine changed since moving to Orlando. 100% has. And I've talked about this before to people who think about moving, and it is the whole vacation vibe goes away because you're not on vacation anymore. But you get to go and enjoy the little details that normally you wouldn't have time to enjoy. So just doing something like this I wouldn't do on a vacation, but now I can because, I don't know, because I can. Whoop. All right, let's go up into this. This is where I'm living. I got a really good rent deal here. It's a nice little studio in Adventureland. It's Disney. Disney is the landlord, so I pay about $2,600 a month for this studio, but you know, up we go. It is a 6th floor walk up, which is kind of unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? Here we go. Got a little bit of the common room here. We picked up all this furniture on Craigslist. You go to the free section, you'd be surprised what you can find. Like all that china. Nobody wanted it, so we just took it. It was great. Can't eat off of it though. It is pre-war china. It's full of lead. Here's the 1 bedroom. I'm pretty sure that bed would only fit a child. Oh, nothing here. Now would be a real awful time to drop my phone. What are some of the questions? Sorry, I was missing a few here. IP being all the rage at Disney, what property do you think is unrepresented in the parks or under? That's a good one. I would say Hercules is underrepresented in the parks. We don't have any Hercules representation. That needs to be in the parks. How many beds are there in Walt Disney World? A lot. How did the move to Orlando change your view of the city and the parks compared to just visiting? I mean, I certainly... How do I put it? Like all of the things about... Here's what's interesting. It's not like moving to a city where I've never been there before. I've been here so frequently that all of the like ins and outs of living here I kind of already knew. So I knew it's hot all the time. I know it rains every day. I know the drivers are kind of crazy. Like all that stuff kind of wasn't a real surprise. It's just the reality of all of it coming to fruition. So, you know, I like it though. I like it here. Tomorrowland the movie. Yeah, it is very much. I did miss the rain. The rain was an hour or two ago, and I luckily missed it. There's the fast pass line for the Jungle Cruise. Let's just appreciate for a second that the Jungle Cruise, that fast pass lines are just, oh my gosh, is this the... Here, let's take a look at the fast pass line here. There's where it goes. That's right by Aladdin, all the way that way. Starts there, goes all the way out there. They kind of need to redo the fast pass system. That's kind of crazy. Would you be interested in hanging at the Polynesian pool the last week of August? We actually, Kat and I might be doing something like that. We get, you know, CM discounts, and we might do a staycation. My favorite resort is by far the Polynesian, that's for sure. Is the apartment crowded now that Michael K has moved in? You know, it's really funny because the truth is almost closer to that than you think. We do not live in the same apartment, but we're considering, like, he was looking for apartments. This was like before he had announced that he was looking at apartments, and one of the places he was looking was actually the same place I live. So we almost were neighbors, but we are not. We're Disney neighbors. We're gonna hang out sometime next week. Should be fun. Kat is a performer, so she's in multiple places. She's a singer primarily. Now I'll show you a nice top down of the kitchen here. Look at that. Now that's what you're paying for month after month. Have you ever seen a kitchen this big in a 1-bedroom? I don't think so. Look at that. It's got a refrigerator. It's got your stove. It's got coverage from the rain. I'm so afraid of dropping this phone. Also, apologies for how shaky this is. I'm using my phone right now, but next month, the G7X Mark III comes out, and it supports automatic streaming to YouTube, and it has amazing stabilization, and I plan to pick it up. So here's my office. Work on the ship's log here. I don't know what's actually in a ship's log, but I've been filling it out. Take some time. Ever stayed at the boardwalk? Once, when I was about 10 years old. It was fun story. There was a book series. There still is a book series, I think, called Birnbaum's, Disney World Guide for Kids by Kids. And what they did is every year they picked 4 kids and they brought them to Disney, and they'd write down what you think about all the rides, and you made like a kid version tour book for Disney World. And when I was 10 years old, I was one of the 4 kids. And so I got to come here. It was 98, so it was like Animal Kingdom was just opening. I got to go into the Animal Kingdom before it opened to the public. We stayed at the boardwalk. We were totally spoiled because we were writing about everything. And it was a lot of fun. When it existed, and the golf resort when it was still available to the public. Before it was shades of green. I've mentioned on the podcast that I've had a bit of a change of heart regarding Universal since moving. What do you think Universal does better than Disney, other than Men in Black, of course? Well, I think some of the things that they do better is... That's a really good question, because I think they're less afraid of doing intense attractions, that's for sure. I think there's a lot of little things that they don't do as well. Parking, stuff like that, just how you get into the parks. I do like that they have moving walkways when you're going from the parking buildings to the main hub area. I think the security moves very fast, no matter how crowded it is. So I think those things they tend to do better. And of course, the Harry Potter stuff's fantastic, but I kind of half attribute that to the strict creative control that J.K. Rowling had over them, because after that, they then did Fast and the Furious, and it was total dookie. So clearly they don't have, like, the golden goose when it comes to rides now. They do need somebody to kind of keep them on the straight and narrow when it comes to theming. How's Tron progress? We could go check it out. They do screens better when screens are relevant. They do some cool, like they do some really cool big spectacle stuff. Like the Kong animatronics, really cool. So that's the kind of thing that they do better. I wish Disney did more of that. Maybe we'll get a little bit of that. What with, oh, hold on. Here's the Jungle Cruise Fast Pass line. Right here by the Spitting Camel. How wild. I feel like at that point, Fast Pass is kind of broken. It doesn't work the way it should be working if the line goes that far back. It is summer crowds. So Sean Connery, hold on, said the biggest disparity is the bathrooms, that Universal needs to step up their bathroom game. Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess so, yeah. Let's go take a quick trip on over to Frontierland. Well, we're in Frontierland now. We've just moved over. Go find another nice view. That's the one thing I do get to appreciate more living here and being able to visit regularly, is I'm not as much in a rush to do ride. I do like just wandering around looking for a nice view. Something like this here. Oh, look at that. Oh, the sunset and everything, it looks great. Do I believe Flight of Passage is not as good as the screen rides at Universal? No, I think it is. I think it's a fantastic ride. Have I ever tried those breakfast burritos in Frontierland? I have not. I will say this too about living here is I find that I don't go in the mornings that often anymore. I usually will come in the afternoon or evening, I guess because it cools off a little bit and I don't really want to wake up that early to go. So I usually miss breakfast here. How frequent am I visiting the parks? It depends on the week. Not counting coming here to record for videos, I would say I'm here maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Usually 2 times a week, I'd say. 3 if like somebody's in town and I'm going to meet up with them. And then if I have to record B-roll, then, you know, I'll pop over. But when I do that, I come to the park, I record what I have to, and then I leave. I don't like spend the whole day. Have I been in the Universal Hollywood tram tour? No, I've never been to Universal Hollywood. The next time out there, I wanna try it out. The view from the tavern in Liberty Square is nice by the window. When I could eat it, the beef stew was really good. I'm gonna have to check it out. The tavern, the Liberty Tree Tavern. For some reason, my mind went to the Columbia Harbor House. Resort TV 1 is live streaming in Fantasyland? Well, guess what? I'm heading in that direction, so maybe we will cross paths. That'd be fun. Yeah, but we are making our way this direction. We do want to see some Tron before the stream ends. Here we go. And then I got a couple of fast passes for the rest of the evening. Nothing too fancy. Some Buzz Lightyear, I actually forgot the last one. Little Mermaid, I think. Hypothetical situation. If Disney and Universal worked out where Disney could use Marvel in the Florida parks on the condition that Universal gets a Disney IP for their park, what IP would you want to see? Well, here's the question. What Disney IP or what like Disney owned IP? Because they own all the Fox IP now. So I'd say give Universal The Simpsons, give them Alien. Disney's never going to really use those in the parks, right? So give them those 2 things and then we'll take Marvel. Need to throw in a third. I don't know what else Fox owns that could be used. Firefly. Give them Firefly. Why not? Disney's not going to do anything with it. There's another one here. Sorry, I keep blocking the camera here. Where would I work as a CM? I don't know. I think it would be fun to work on Main Street. I think ultimately the question becomes, what area do I want to spend hours and hours in? I think Main Street's one where I could do that. I love the music, I love the atmosphere, I love the architecture. It'd be work otherwise, but that's going to be wherever you go. So that or like somewhere like the American Adventure where I'm inside and air conditioned, and then I only have to work every 30 minutes. All right. I can't wait to get a a better camera for this. Right now the phone will have to do. I could have sworn I owned one of those little handheld gimbals, not like the motorized ones, but just like a handheld mini tripod, but I think I lost it or got rid of it in the move. So I'm just doing this normal handheld style.
You have it.
We're making our way into Liberty Square, or we've already made our way into Liberty Square. This is an area I've come to appreciate more over time. Not the Haunted Mansion. Too dark. Also, that queue area, not the outdoor queue area, but the indoor queue area is a total mess. And that needs to, they need to do something with that. They need to just put lines in that queue space. Then I'll work there. Is there any change announcement Disney could make that would make me not go to the parks anymore? I guess if they raise the price too much and I can't afford it, then I can't afford it. They have not done that yet, though. They're getting close, though. They're really bumping up those annual pass prices. Oh no. Val, I hope your ankle gets better. Have I tried going to the Hoop-Dee-Doo review? I love the Hoop-Dee-Doo review, and actually am going in the next couple of weeks. All right, we are now in Fantasyland, and we're looking for some of the Pascals. Now, the cool thing about this area, let's flip it around, is that this is the Tangled area, and so there are a bunch of Pascals around. So look, there's one. Let's see. I don't know how far out they go. Like, I don't know if they're over this way. They should be over this way. Like, I imagine there's got to be a few around here. Oh, there's one. The Tangled bathrooms, yep. Oh, there's another one. I forget how many there are in total, but there are a number of them. Have I been to Universal yet? Yep, bunch of times actually. Still haven't done Hagrid though. The line's still too long for my taste. I'll wait till it gets down to like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. Yeah, there's a bunch over there. Okay, let's continue walking. Can I explain how I came up with the little intro to your videos, music, image, meaning? So are you referring to when that little bit of music plays and you see the TV and then it's like a background of Disney and then the beat? The story of that is there's no real deep story, to be honest with you. Kind of the new icon of the TV with the play button was because I was in a real rough spot where the channel had gotten close to 100,000 subscribers as Rob Plays, and I was afraid to change the name because I felt like people knew me as Rob Plays, and if I come up with some generic Disney name, people aren't going to know who I am anymore, and I'm going to like lose that momentum. So I realized, okay, Rob Plays has to stay the name, but obviously I don't play video games anymore. So I kind of shifted the idea over from playing games to like playing a video, hitting that play button. And so that's kind of where the TV came from. I'm a big fan of like retro aesthetics, so that's kind of why I went in that direction. I love that color scheme, that red and that yellow. And I was a big fan of, on YouTube, keeping intros really, really short. You know, my personal rule is like no longer than 3 seconds. And I don't know how to casually do an intro that's 3 seconds that has like a gradual outro. So that's why I do like the harsh, you know, beep out. It's just a Disney thing name. That's one way to look at it. I also realize there are a lot of big YouTubers who have names that make absolutely no sense. So I didn't feel too bad about the idea of having a name that was like branded for Disney. I also wanted to keep it open in case I ever change what I do. So if it's not Disney history one day, I'm not stuck with a Disney name. Rob Plays can be anything. All right, let's flip this camera around. we'll keep an eye out for a Resort TV one. But we're going to the new Fantasyland because we're gonna get a peek at Tron. Raw play should be copyrighted. Well, technically anything you create can be copyrighted. Should be trademarked. And it should be. That's something I should get on top of. Got some Seven Dwarfs Mine Train over there. Fun fact, did Seven Dwarfs Mine Train with Kevin Perjurer of Defunctland when we were both here for an after hours event, and we rode all the way in the back and were completely blown away by how wild the ride is in the very, very last row. Next time you ride this ride, ask for the very, very last row. It like whips you around. It makes the ride feel like twice as like wild as the normal version of it. Oh, Lorelai got Rob Play socks. Awesome. Do I still play Minecraft? Actually, no. I haven't installed it in like about 3 or 4 years now. I've thought about playing the game again just to see what it was like. Look at that. Last row. You got to do it. Most wild. All right, let's go around. So we're going to make our way into Tomorrowland. This might not be a full hour-long stream. I'm still getting accustomed to the whole stream thing. And I'm doing this on my phone, so I'm kind of limited on battery time. But this is something that I try to do regularly now. What's for dinner tonight? Dinner was already Cosmic Rays. I went before the dinner rush so that I don't have to, because I knew I was going to be streaming. And then I had a few rides I wanted to do, and then it was fireworks, and so I took care of dinner early. Not as good as Thunder Mountain and much longer lines. I agree, but then again, it's not meant to be, I don't think, Thunder Mountain. But yes, I agree. The lines are usually too long for what it's worth. Fun times. Cosmic Ray is always not there. Cosmic Ray is never there, I should say. Sunny Eclipse is traveling the galaxy. Don't know when he's going to be back, but he's been gone. The world's missed him. Hopefully he does come back and he's not just gone until something gets announced at D23, which is only in like a month or so. So, you know. Okay, swinging up by Little Mermaid. Some fun stuff here. I feel like you didn't get the chance to grieve properly for Electric Umbrella. Here's the thing about that. As I like to say on the podcast, well, a lot of people, a rose by any other name is still a rose. And if they retheme it to something else, as long as it's got the chicken nuggets, then it's still just as good. Here, I want to flip this around real quick. So over here by Little Mermaid, across the way is this little DVC hut. And it's H. Goff Cartography, reference to Harper Goff, Imagineer. Pretty cool. Just little nods to important people I think are really awesome. Still in denial. I think I'm just too overly excited about all the other Epcot changes that if this has to happen along with it, I'll take it. It's getting overexposed when I'm facing my face. I know. It's bright back there. It's actually too bright. I just have to lift it up more. There we go. Too much of the sky. Tron ride, we're heading over to it now. We got Storybook Circus. Don't really pop back here too often. Now here's a question. Is Storybook Circus its own land? or does it fall within Fantasyland? How does that work? Because I always just lump it in with Fantasyland. But now the more I think about it, it is kind of its own thing. We're headed to the Barnstormer. Man, I'm never back here. I'm going to run into Resort TV. Let's see. Its own awful land. Strong words. What are my best and worst things about moving to Florida? Best thing moving to Florida, everything's new. The day-to-day weather is new for me. The ability to come here often is new. The food options, the being able to go to the pool, like all of that's new and exciting. And having lived in New York my whole life, it's nice to change things up finally. Worst thing about moving to Florida, besides no more pizza, or New York pizza, driving everywhere. Not that it's too bad, but in New York, what's really cool about New York is you leave your apartment and you're a 5-minute walk from anywhere. Excuse me. Oh, they closed this walkway off. So here, this is as far as we can go. Let's flip it around, and there we go. I can see myself whenever I'm trying to flip the camera, and I definitely look like the grandfather who doesn't know how to use the camera app. There's some Tron action. Looking good. It's just going up so fast. So this is a cool new Tron ride. So what ends up happening is you go all the way up here and then you just go off the edge like a really twisted game of Roller Coaster Tycoon. They just never finished it. And so you're just gonna go over the edge into like a lake, and then you just gotta get yourself out of that lake. It's gonna be a real experience. You're gonna have to sign a 300-page waiver every time you ride it, but they really do wanna become more extreme than Universal, so that you gotta do it. Sometimes you just gotta make those risks. I really do think the theming of just bare steel is an interesting choice, but considering most action movies today have an action sequence at a building that's under construction with the crane and everything, this all makes perfect sense. You know, this is like your standard action movie set. So, you know, theming on point, excitement on point. They just need to work on the paths to the ride because we can't get there yet. What do I think of Citricos becoming Victoria and Albert's Bistro? Did not know about that. I'm gonna have to look into it. I heard the ride can open by the end of 2020. That'd be sweet. It's the last action hero ride. You could theme it to anything. With theming this bear, it could be anything. Look at that. Especially the type of metal that's like this dark steel makes it look like, for some reason, it reminds me of the oil tanker from the Backlot tour that would set on fire and is clearly like scorched up. That's what it is. This whole thing is a scorched roller coaster. They set the whole thing on fire and then send you over the edge into the water. Disney, I just designed your newest ride. Do I think Tron will be more thrilling than the coasters at Universal? I don't know. It really depends. I've never ridden Tron over in Shanghai, so I don't know. But there are certain coasters like Hulk, it's not going to be more extreme than the Hulk. The Hulk is just like non-stop inversion after inversion, so I would not say it's going to be more extreme than that. But like the Mummy, stuff like that, yeah, maybe. Tron is going to be a dark ride, right? Well, if it's like the one in Shanghai, it's going to be a little bit of both. It's going to be partially indoors, partially outdoors, which to me sounds crazy for a Tron ride because that's a world that's supposed to be perpetually night. Weird. You'd think it would be entirely indoors like Space Mountain, but what are you going to do? Do I have any pets? I do not. We were thinking about getting a cat when we moved here, but the one thing we've learned in New York, whenever you got an apartment, you know, it was a matter of whether or not the landlord was cool with you having a pet, but that's kind of all it started and stopped there. Is the landlord okay with you having a pet? Here, what they do with all these places, because everything's like an apartment complex, is you have to pay like a deposit to have a pet, and then you have to pay extra rent. And some places it's crazy. It's like $500 for a cat. Which isn't to say we scrapped our plans to have a pet one day, but you know, we still want to get some furniture. We're like, we'll put the brakes on having a pet, because if we move after a year and say we want to go to a different complex somewhere else, then we got to pay that deposit all over again. So I think we just want to wait and see where we settle down around here before we get a pet. And I think Kat would love a dog at some point. Have you set a budget for eating at Disney? Now that it's not vacation time, that can become expensive. Merry Video. Great question. Yes, I do. I don't set a budget necessarily. Like, I don't say I'm going to spend X amount of dollars on food. I just am a lot smarter about making sure I eat before I come here. Trying to time my trips so that I don't fall within too many meals. Like here, I knew I was going to be here for the evening, so I knew I was just going to have dinner here. But otherwise, you know, we'll eat something before we come here, just so we don't spend money here. And then what we'll do more often is have like a snack here. But yeah, you got to be careful about it. What else do we have? If I like Callipee, then I would have to go to the breakfast buffet at the Grand Floridian. Oh, cool. I saw you say Callipee, and I thought you meant the circus Callipee that Disney has over at the Tri-Circle D Ranch. Okay, here's a great question. If you were given $500 to spend at any Disney World restaurant, what restaurant would you pick, and what would you eat? Victoria and Albert's, Pizza Rizzo? Here's the answer, and this is it, because we just went here the other day. The answer is, I would go to the Flying Fish at the boardwalk, which is amazing, and I would eat there. They have the Wagyu beef. What's it called? It's their steak. Sorry, I'm blanking out. It's their steak. I would have that. It's fantastic. It's very expensive for a steak. It's like $60 for a steak, but it is amazing. And I would go eat that, and I would just get $500 worth of that steak, and then I would bring the rest of it home. This is really loud. I picked the worst area to like sign off on this live stream. We'll do a few more questions, but I'm going to sign off here. I know it's not a full hour, but I'm meeting up with some friends, and we're going to enjoy some fireworks and then wander the park. But before I do some final questions, so what this is the stream that I'm trying to do like every other week now. This is kind of like an offshoot. This originally started as a Patreon perk. Typically, I will weekly do a live stream that is sort of behind the scenes of putting together a video. So it's editing, it's the writing, the research, thumbnail design is one that I do very often. But now that I'm down here, I try to every so often make one of these weekly live streams here in the parks, and that's what this is today. So if you keep an eye on this channel, if you like the park streams and want to see more, expect one like every couple of weeks, and then the occasional vlog. Now there were some questions here. When will we see a vlog with Michael K? Maybe next week. I'm going to hang out with him at some point next week. I'm sure he's finally getting around to unpacking. The fish and grits at Flying Fish. Everybody I've talked to says Flying Fish is the best place to eat. Now here's another place that's really good to eat on property. Hopefully I'm audible. I'm like right next to the Speedway. Splitsville in Disney Springs apparently has some of the best sushi on property and has pretty good food otherwise beyond the sushi. So if you're ever in Disney Springs, try Splitsville. It's pretty good. Also, props to this phone's microphone that you guys can hear me, because I can barely hear myself with all these cars. Yeah, I was surprised by Splitsville because it's a bowling alley. You weren't expecting it to have like great food, but it has some pretty good food. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap things up here. This was a lot of fun. We started in Main Street, We saw some Adventureland. I gave you a tour of my 1-bedroom tree house here in Adventureland. We saw some Tron. Hopefully the cars do go electrical soon. I've heard that rumor about Tesla, but that rumor doesn't have a solid source, so I'm not holding my breath. It would be sweet, but I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. Have a fantastic week. Whatever you're doing, make the best of it. I hope you all have a great time. Keep an eye on the channel. There'll be more streams in the future. As somebody who has trouble focusing sometimes between the cars there and the teacups behind me, my brain is now fragmented into a million pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream off here and go find a quieter place to go chill for a little bit. But have a fantastic night, everybody, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys. And now you get to watch me end the stream because I don't have like an easy button to just press to end it. So it's not gonna be as smooth as I want, but here we go.